the FBI raiding Donald Trump's house, a former president of the United States. Yes, it's absolutely significant. But you have these meatheads like James Carville saying that this is the biggest story since 9/11. What? What does that mean? Why are you saying these words that come out of your mouth? Why is everything with Trump the biggest story since 9/11? They're so desperate for clicks. They're so desperate to make themselves relevant. And they're so desperate for ratings because if they don't talk about Trump, no one watches their show. There's nothing of substance. It's always Orange Cheetah Man. Dude, fuck the guy. Why do you keep talking about him? If you hate him so much, why do you keep giving him attention? Because they need to. Otherwise, no one would watch their crappy shows. This thing about declassifying documents, right? That the president is ultimately the one who decides whether to declassify something. Yes. The thing is that even when someone underneath, so in an agency whose job it is to declassify things, they're doing it because that power from the president is delegated to them, right? So again, really not gonna cry for Trump, but that spokesperson of his was kind of funny when he said like this idea that some pen-pushing bureaucrat is the one who ultimately decides what the president can declassify. It's absurd. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. But Trump's claim that there was a standing order that, you know, whenever he takes a document and puts it in a box or takes it home, that it's like automatically declassified. I don't know if that's true, right? Like no one has proven that this wasn't true, you know, and neither to the contrary. Regardless, though, I want to say something, and this is very important. The 3 counts that they use to justify the warrant, one of them is from the Espionage Act, right? And I talk about that a lot because I've been covering Julian Assange's extradition case for 2 years now, and he's been charged under the Espionage Act. And with Trump, it doesn't talk about classified information. The law itself does not specifically refer to classified information. That wasn't a thing. That wasn't the way that, you know, they organized documents when this law was created in 1917, right? This is during World War I. And so back then, they refer to national defense information. You understand? When you say national defense information, you would assume that it's classified because it pertains to national defense. In the warrant, they made sure to specify that everything marked classified or you know, or even next to it with no marking should be taken. Everything on the premises. So they really wanted to cast a wide net. And of course, you know, what are Democrats and the neoliberal? We should just call them Wall Street media. That's really what they are. You know, all of them, Fox, MSNBC. But what they're really hoping for is that they block him from running in 2024, right? And actually, when Trump's house was being raided, he raised millions of dollars. He sent all these emails to his supporters asking for donations to help out, and he made millions. They also took his passports, although the I think it was the DOJ, they immediately gave them back. So they released a statement saying that the filter team deemed them to be, you know, documents that do not pertain to the investigation, and they gave them back. So Trump had 2 expired passports and 1 active diplomatic passport. I didn't know, actually, that the former president gets to keep a diplomatic passport. That's very interesting. But that's what happened. And basically when they conduct a search, when they execute a search, they have an initial filter team that looks through the documents precisely for this reason, to see if they have stuff there that they don't need, and then they gave it back. And I'm just saying this because Trump was railing about it, which, I mean, if you took my passport away, I'd also be pissed. I mean, what does that have to do with anything? You know why? Because it paints you as a flight risk. It's like, oh, this guy is guilty, so we took away his passport, Donald Trump says FBI agents raided his Mar-a-Lago, Florida home. And then in The Guardian, the same thing. Donald Trump says Mar-a-Lago home raided as FBI executes search warrant. I mean, Trump is not exactly the most truthful person. He's a politician, after all. So I know they have this tendency in the media to paint him as a dumb and as a liar and so on. I just don't understand why here it's like, oh, Donald Trump said that, so, we don't know if it's true. Like, as if it didn't happen. It did happen. It's not just him saying it. It happened. The FBI, everybody. I don't understand why it's, oh, Trump said that. Here is the official search warrant. So they released part of it, right? This was really a wide net. So they said they're going to search all storage rooms, all other rooms or areas within the premises used or available by the former president of the United States and his staff, and in which boxes or documents could be stored, including all structures or buildings on the estate. Any physical documents with classification markings, along with any containers and boxes, including any other contents in which such documents are located, as well as any other containers, boxes that are collectively stored or found together with the aforementioned documents and boxes. So basically saying, take every box you find. And they're saying information including communications regarding retrieval, storage, or transmission of national defense information or classified material. And they're saying any government or presidential records created between January 2017 and all the way up until Donald Trump's last day in office, so his entire tenure from 2017 to 2021. And any evidence of the knowing alteration, destruction, or concealment of any government and or presidential records, or of any documents with classification markings. So, there's several people who want these documents. You have the presidential archives. I can appreciate that, as a... God, I hate to say the history buff. No, I think it's great. I wish they'd publish the ones that matter. But I can understand that. I don't know if it necessarily warrants an FBI raid, but I thought, my understanding was they had reached an agreement and Trump had said, I've sent everything they want. And then they still raided him. I guess the investigators just didn't believe that he gave them everything. The FBI are saying they've seized 11 sets of documents, of classified documents. So the FBI took about 20 boxes, binders of photos, a handwritten note, and the executive grant of clemency from Mr. Trump's ally Roger Stone. A list of items removed from the property shows. Maggie Haberman on why she thinks Trump took those documents.
So you raise, there's a bunch of different explanations, but you raise one possibility that this may be more about the former president's personality than anything else.
It could be, and he was certainly known as somebody who liked to show things off. He liked to show off the accoutrements of being president.
Tchotchkes, you had called them.
When he was a businessman, he had tchotchkes in some corner of his office. Shaquille O'Neal's giant shoe, he would show off a lot to visitors, and it was always the same tour. He liked showing off these Kim Jong-un letters when he was president. People would come to the Oval Office reporters, visiting dignitaries, you name it, and he would wave them around. And we know that at least some of those were among the items that were at Mar-a-Lago. So that's one possibility. We know that he was telling advisors when he was resisting giving these things back, they're mine, it's mine, and so forth. So that's always one possibility. The other is that he, sees, one other is that he sees some advantage, and whether that is something that makes him seem aggrandized or bigger, or whether it's that he could see it as leverage of some kind, you have to consider that possibility. There's a lot we still don't know, but Trump throughout his presidency acted as if there was no difference between himself and the government and his company. It was all one big brand.
I mean, dude, honestly, if I had letters that I exchanged with Kim Jong-un, I'd want to keep them too. That was a a good bit of diplomacy there. Do you think Trump had these documents because he wanted to show off? I want to show you a clip from John Bolton, who was Donald Trump's national security advisor, and listen to his theory.
Give me a sense of where you think the truth lies with respect to Trump's intelligence, carelessness, and the degree to which he might have brought motive to bear on taking these documents out of the White House and keeping them for this long at Mar-a-Lago.
Well, it's very hard to speculate on motive other than that he liked cool things. He saw things so he wanted to take them, and he was pretty much able to take them, and not just on classified information matters, on all kinds of things that crossed his desk. Some days he liked to eat a lot of French fries. Some days he took classified documents. He wanted them. Why did he want them? Because he could get them.
I'm not sure what they're doing here, because they all hate Trump, and yet they're like kind of defending him in some way, like, oh, he's just like a child, man. He just wants to show things off. It's innocent. I don't understand what their point is, because it sounds more like that in that vein than criticism. Again, here's this moron James Carville, who used to be Bill Clinton's advisor, and
this Mar-a-Lago story, which might be the biggest story since 9/11. That's not going anywhere.
Why do you make words come out of your mouth? Just, you want to see something even worse? You're not going to believe this. Hillary Clinton released merch after the story broke that the FBI raided Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort. Look at this on Twitter, which she posted. I'm not kidding. But her emails! I'm not gonna lie. That is kind of funny. I know she didn't come up with it. And they have t-shirts too, apparently, but her emails. Okay, honestly, this might be the weirdest time to promote my merch, but I don't care. They would always chant these, lock her up! And man, there's many reasons to lock Hillary up. Murdering Gaddafi, that don't get me started, seriously. But I'm confused, because when I heard about this story, I was like, hold on a second, isn't that exactly what they were mad at Hillary for? Like, she had classified documents on this server and shit, thousands of them, and nothing happened. They're all really happy because they're hoping Donald Trump himself will be indicted. So they're seeing, oh, there's an FBI raid. Awesome. Yes, humiliating for him. Again, Mar-a-Lago's in Florida. But over in Manhattan, in New York, you got Alan Weisselberg, who took a plea. He pleaded guilty and admitted that he had conspired with the former president's company to commit numerous crimes. And so because he's old, he's 75, they're going to give him 5 months as part, under the plea, and he'll only serve 100 days with good behavior, something like that. And, under the plea deal, he's got to pay $2 million and point the finger at his longtime employer, the Trump Organization, at its trial in October. So anyway, my point is they're all seeing this, and they're so happy They're really, really happy about it. You're seeing things like this about, oh, could Trump be barred and disqualified from running for US president in 2024? Experts say no. It's not likely. A probe against an individual is not enough to disqualify them from running for president. See 2016 presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, then under investigation by the FBI over mishandling classified information. So same thing. And the FBI ultimately decided against charging Clinton. I think some people at the FBI were not too keen on being suicided by the Clintons. They say, let's assume for the sake of argument that Trump is convicted of mishandling classified documents. The US Constitution spells out just 3 requirements to be president. Be a natural-born citizen of the United States, be at least 35 years old, have been a resident of the United States for 14 years. Oh, well, that's good to know. So, in 5 years, I could run for president in the United States where I have never lived and I'm not a citizen. But that's exactly what I wanted to tell you guys earlier, is that the Congress cannot violate what I just read to you from the US Constitution, especially criminally. Do you understand? So that would be very difficult to change. And again, it would likely not bar him from running for president. So the only reason that they're cheering about this is because they want to make as much money as possible. They want their ratings up again because of their stinking garbage shows. They don't talk about anything interesting, right? They don't even criticize Trump, right? Speaking of Trump, they would never criticize him for all the imperialist crap that he did, all the crimes that he committed to help Israel, the crimes against Syria, against Iran, Venezuela, the crimes against his own people, man. Sending your money to the arms manufacturers. I mean, they've been all doing that one after the other, but he raised it to unprecedented levels, and Biden's doing it now. They're not going to criticize that. Oh no. The coup in Venezuela, the attempted coup, they're not going to criticize that. Every, insane, vicious crime that he committed, he killed someone, and he boasts about it. They're not going to criticize him for that, and they're not going to cover foreign policy, and they're not going to do anything of substance. This is all they have. It is so pathetic and pitiful. Thank God for independent media, and thank God for you guys. I'm really grateful to have you.